Okay, hold up. Mind absolutely blown right now because when I was listening to you talk about that, I thought you were going to go one direction, and then you flipped the script on me and you went on another direction because we're starting the Hubcast in 3, 2, 1.
Are you an inbound marketer looking for the inside scoop on what's next? Are you ready to unlock HubSpot's full potential and yours? If so, you've come to the right place. The Hubcast is your leading resource for user-friendly HubSpot tips, expert insights and strategies, exclusive interviews with inbound's brightest minds, and the latest insider news. And now, here's your host, George B. Thomas.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here for another episode of the Hubcast, and I'm super excited. And I have my co-host here. By the way, Carina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am
Every day.
recording on location down in Montgomery County, Maryland. It is cloudy outside, but it is a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day because it's another episode of the Hubcast. And now here's the thing, Hubcast viewers, listeners, whoever you are, we love, no matter how you digest the content, we love it. We love it. Now that the shock is worn off and you realize we do have a new co-host, by the way, we've thrown in a bunch of new sections this week. We're dripping a little bit out at a time. We want to take a moment and we want to, now remember, sometimes on the Hubcast, we have like getting to know people, Marcus and me, and we know Marcus loves mustard from one of these sections. But Carina, we should probably get the community to start to know, like, and trust you as their new HubSpot guru, Jedi, ninja. So tell us a little bit kind of how you got into this inbound marketing game, what you do, what you geek out on. It can be personal, it can be professional, but help us start to love you. Well, I already do, but you know.
Yeah, so it's quite a story. I have a really kind of come from a really unique background. I come from a sports medicine background originally, and it's been a really interesting story of how I got to where I am right now. And I don't have time to tell it now, but I think some of that will get sprinkled in as we go here in the next couple episodes. But I was introduced to inbound marketing at a creative meetup in Hartford, where the guy who runs the Hartford HubSpot user group actually was presenting, and he was talking about inbound marketing. He was talking about this platform called HubSpot. And I had never heard of it, but inbound marketing was so applicable to what I was doing, which was a lot of design and branding work. And so I got the inbound certification, and then kind of through happenstance, I met Impact and ended up starting to work at Impact. And as soon as I started diving into the HubSpot tool itself, I just started to totally geek out. With all the different things you could do, not just with automation, but the website platform. And I started managing website redesign projects. And I just have loved diving in and getting to know, like, technically how to use the tools. And that's one of my favorite things that I get to do day to day with my clients, is teach them how to use new tools, how to find little hacks and tricks to do things easier in HubSpot. So that's a little piece of me. On the side, if you know me at all, you know that I'm a big snowboarder in the winter. So you can find me on the mountain in Vermont pretty much every weekend in the winter. And in the summer, me and Marcus connect on our deep love of disc golf. So I'm a big disc golfer. I love doing that in the summer. So that's a little bit about me. If you want to know more, please comment, please ask. I am an open book. Yeah,
down below, hit those comments. So let's unpack a little bit. Sports medicine, disc golf, snowboarding, design and development people. And, you know, it's funny that you brought that up because I always was sort of curious if it was that I loved Adobe products. That's why I fell in love with HubSpot so quickly, or something along those lines, because I come from similar backgrounds. But I have to ask you a question, and you didn't know this was coming, which is, this makes this fun. Marcus used to do this to me all the time. So gummy bears or gummy worms?
Bears.
All right. Well,
and
ladies,
frozen, preferably.
What? Say that again?
Frozen, preferably.
Oh, I see this old guy right here would chip a tooth. I'm just saying. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into this. Before we do, we have to let you know that this episode of the Hubcast is brought to you by, well, HubSpot Intensive Trainings, where you can go from a possible zero, which I doubt you are, but to a HubSpot hero. Make sure you check out the link in the show notes so you can get your 1 or 2 day HubSpot Intensive Training workshop scheduled today, where we come out and do a complete inbound and HubSpot strategy tactics tool assessment and get you running even faster. Ding, ding, ding. New section this week. That's it. Property of the week, people. Now, this one is going to be interesting because we are literally digging in. Like, you know those people who like tie rocks to their ankle, they dive in the water and they see how far down they can get to get those oysters out. They might be called oyster divers, just by the way. I don't know. There's some type of divers. We're diving deep into HubSpot. Each week we're grabbing a property of the week and we're bringing it back up to the community to talk about, you know, and we'll let you know, is it a park place? Is it a Mediterranean Avenue? Is it a thimble? Yeah, I know. It's a Monopoly play, but hey, that's what we're going with. So, Carina, what is this week's property of the week?
We got this week broadcast clicks. So broadcast clicks is the number of clicks on published social messages. This is set automatically by HubSpot for each contact. So that's the definition that HubSpot gives you. Now, we give this property a rating of
like what is the middle ground? Is it like Illinois Avenue or Kentucky Avenue, like the middle of the ground? Carina, why don't you explain to the community why we give this a rating right now?
So I like this in general. I like the idea of this. Really what it is it's trying to show you not just for individual social platforms, but kind of an aggregate of everything together. However, when I started to dive into this a little bit more and look into some of our actual contact properties and impacts portal, I found some discrepancies and I don't really understand what's going on. So I went into an individual contact and they had 2 broadcast clicks, but they had 14 LinkedIn clicks. So I'm not totally sure what's going on there. I'm not sure if it's a discrepancy with how HubSpot's collecting that data. But I do see a use of it if it is collecting good data, because you could do things like workflows based around social engagement. If your business has a lot of social engagement, and that's useful for your business. But I also think it's kind of, it kind of depends. Yeah. Because if your business isn't using a lot of social for lead generation, at least organic social, which a lot of B2B and SaaS companies are kind of struggling with that right now, it might just kind of be probably not really going to use it.
Yeah, so for me, I always thought of this as maybe a possible trigger point. Like, okay, if they get 50 clicks, broadcast clicks in general, let's do something special. Let's talk to them about something. And I don't mean really physically talk, but digitally send them something. You know, here's the thing. This could almost be a things that make you go, but it's not. It's broadcast clicks. It's property of the week. I'm curious, community, do you use this property in list workflows or smart marketing somehow? If you do, let us know by tweeting at George B. Thomas or by tweeting CG Duffy Designs. I got it this week. See, I didn't know it last week, but I got it this week to throw down. So, you know, I wish somebody from HubSpot would contact us on this. I really do, Carina. But you know what else I wish? I wish that we could get to the HubSpot wish list item. Go ahead and talk to us about that today.
Let's go. So our HubSpot wish list item is allowing attachments received in emails to log to the CRM. So when you're logging your emails to the CRM, it would be awesome to allow the attachments to be placed into or linked with the deal or contact. Now, let me tell you, I think this would be super valuable because Impact does this basically ourselves, not within HubSpot, but we actually, our sales team will create folders in Google Drive for prospects and clients that go through the sales process with all of those attachments. So if a prospect sends us some persona work that they've had done or things like that, we'll put it into a folder in Google Drive because right now there's no way for us to track it in the CRM. It would be so much easier if it was just all in the contact record.
Yeah, hashtag skip a step, right? Make life easier. So if they like this idea, if they want to do this wish list, what should they do, Carina?
Please vote it up.
Oh, no, 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 no. That'll never do. That'll never do. Carina, when we do the HubSpot wish list area here, it's always, and folks, if you think it'd be valuable, vote it up. Yeah.
All right, let me try it.
All right.
If you think it would be valuable, vote it up.
Oh, yeah. Let's give some applause. That is amazing. You know, it's time for our new section. Things that make you go, All right, I'll talk about this one. And by the way, you got to check out the show notes. I put some GIFs. I don't care what you call it. They're funny as all get out. Personas is now in lead flows. I was super excited. I was training with some clients. We were talking about, can we not put that in there yet? And we actually then did a search, and it was there, and there was drop-down functionality, and we partied. Woo! It was awesome. And then all of a sudden I realized something, and that is that it said persona.
Uh-oh! Well, smack my mama!
And like, that's marketing speak for like, hey, let me bucketize you since you're kind of coming into my database. So that's horrible. And so all of a sudden the party stopped. And I was like, this is just not good. And so we actually went to work now knowing that the drop-down functionality was in HubSpot, in lead flows. We actually created a hack. By the way, I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, because it happens to be in our HubSpot tips and tricks down below. But just know that if you see that persona field in lead flows, please do not use it. Please, until HubSpot gives us the opportunity to actually be able to edit that. Like, look, we can do this in forms. Like, if you use persona in forms, one of the things that we teach our clients immediately is always go in, hit that little pencil, and change persona to how would you best describe yourself? Because it should be a drop down where they can say, hey, I am a marketer, or I am a sales professional, or I'm an event planner. Notice I started those with I'm a, by the way, because that's the way that we humanly answer those. And you can't do that in lead flows.
Well, whistle me Dixie.
Thank God. What are your thoughts, Carina?
Not being able to edit the persona drop down is kind of defeats the whole purpose of being able to have it. And I agree with you. The idea of we're just, we try to segment people, and of course we try to do that as marketers, but HubSpot is all about doing things human to human, and with that human connection. And without being able to do that, that really renders that functionality pretty useless.
Yeah, totally agree. Hey, you know what? Never mind. Just when they can edit it, just actually make it say, what segmented list would you like me to put you in? Just make it say that with a question mark. I'm sure everybody will answer it. You know what I'm glad that we're answering today? We're answering questions on content strategy with our man, the main man, the myth, the legend. Well, at least he's a HubSpot professor, Justin Champion. You're going to love this. Let's go ahead and, Carina, let's dive into the interview real quick. And of course, we're going to get into our interview section. I'm super excited today to have beside me the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. But you know what? Let me actually let him do that. Justin, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, who you do it for? Although I'm pretty sure all the viewers / listeners might already know, but let's catch anybody up to speed that doesn't.
Sure. Happy to do so. Thanks for having me, by the way. My name is Justin Champion. I'm the content professor for HubSpot Academy. I've been a digital marketer for close to 9 years now, and now I've taken all this energy and knowledge and joined the Academy team, where I create educational content in the form of training. So I created the content marketing certification, which launched originally back in November 2016. And really my primary focus this year is going to be focusing on live trainings for content marketing strategy, which are going to be both online and in person, which are going to be kicking off this March.
So, Justin, I can't wait to see, and I hope you're coming to Charlotte, by the way. That will be super exciting because, or close. I will definitely be there. So, I want to pick your brain. You know, this is kind of about 10, 15 minutes that we have to share with the Hubcast listeners a strategy. And so, one of the things that we've been teaching, that we've been talking about with our clients and that we're doing tutorials on, is the actual content strategy tool in HubSpot. Not that we need to dive deep into the tool, but I really think that people need to understand the religion of something before they actually dive into the tactics of the thing that they're doing. And I hear there's little birdies and things talking to me that you might be working on some new mystic magic kind of data collecting. Why don't you talk to us about what you're finding and kind of the exciting world that is going to be happening during these workshops when you're doing them?
Yeah, I would be happy to. I've been putting a lot of time and effort into doing research of understanding how to build these topic clusters with a content pillar at the center. Now, what a content pillar is, it's a broad piece of website content that's connected to a series of other pieces of content through hyperlinks. And a topic cluster, you have this content pillar at the middle, and you have all these pieces of content around it that are linking to it. So it's solving for the search engine because they're able to find the content. It's solving for the human because anybody who's finding this content knows where they should be going to next. But what I've done and what I've understood from people that customers and users and even people that aren't HubSpot customers, trying to understand this topic cluster methodology and how they actually go about creating this content. What is the content architecture and how does that site architecture look when you're doing this? And what I've broken it down to, and what I'm going to be teaching more of with this workshop tour that's going to be kicking off, is you have a core topic. Now, a core topic is like a head term. It's like a very broad thing you're trying to rank for. Let's say gum disease, right? Like maybe that's what you ultimately want to rank for because it's a term that's going to bring value to your audience and for website traffic that's going to get to your site. Now, let's say that lives at the center, and that's ultimately what you're going to have, the pillar page, right? Where it's going to have like a conversion that turns this person into a lead. The best thing you can do is when you're forming this topic cluster is to think about the first layer around that core topic. And what I'm calling it is the subtopic category. So it's like a step below. So if you think of this as a mountain, think of gum disease as right at the top, like Mount Everest. It's like at the top. It's the hardest thing to get to. The best thing you can do is step down a layer from that and think about what's a term, like a subtopic category, which is kind of like a mid-range keyword, maybe something like gum disease cause or gum disease treatment. It's still strategic. It probably gets a good amount of monthly search volume, maybe a couple in the thousands. But the thing is that it's easier to rank for that. So the best thing you can do is almost treat that subtopic category as almost a core topic in its own and start creating content around that. So if you go down a layer from that, maybe a long tail subtopic that you could be creating content around could be something like newly discovered bacteria may play role in gum disease, right? So we've heard about how long tail keywords can help get you visibility. So the thing to think about is how can you package these long tail keywords, right? Long tail subtopics that roll up into a subtopic category, maybe something like gum disease cause, which ultimately can help you get to the summit, which would be gum disease. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that you'll want to treat your subtopics around your core topic your subtopic categories around your core topic as different initiatives that you're trying to almost bucket and create topic clusters around those. So from a site architecture standpoint, you have almost like another layer of content that you're creating, which is what the content strategy tool is going to be more alluding and building towards probably later this year towards inbound. But I want to start getting out there and teaching it to people, doing a little bit more research and seeing how it connects with the world.
So Justin, I love this, and I love that you're like using mountains as a reference. However, gum disease, I would go with gummy bears maybe, but it's because gum disease is like, hey,
it's a real thing. It's a problem. I know. It's almost like when I think of people really trying to pay attention, like it's something like it's not exactly the sexiest topic, but I have a really good example that I break down in the training that shows how Colgate created a really successful piece of content and how they follow this high architecture of almost climbing a mountain, if you will.
Love it. Love it. So I have a question about this, because as we've been teaching the tool and this whole concept to our clients, one of the questions they would have, and I was actually using the analogy of islands, okay, but I like that you're using the analogy of mountains. Is it okay to create a bridge? Because I know the idea of this is you're creating like a cluster. And so this content is here for the searcher and the search engine to find, and it's just easy and it understands it. But is it okay to create a bridge or link from one cluster to another cluster on your website, almost giving them like a thread, if you will, to be able to find the other mountains that you're creating? Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, you should. And I love your analogy of islands, right? Because if you think of Hawaii, for instance, how there's all these different islands that exist in Hawaii, and how some of the islands are actually bigger than other islands. So I think the thing to keep in mind is, before even creating content, think about what you ultimately want to rank for. Because I think the biggest issue that people have is they think about the content they want to create, then they create it immediately, and they might be seeing success for a couple of months, but then without a plan, like the more content you create, the harder it actually gets to organize it on your site. So really understanding the types of terms, like core topics, like those broad terms you want to be ranking for, let those be like the pillars of the strategy that you're ultimately trying to rank for. And let's say, for instance, maybe instead of going gum disease, let's say it's like motorcycle maintenance, right? Motorcycle maintenance is like the core topic you want to rank for, and maybe winterizing your motorcycle is a subtopic category. It's big enough to be its own core topic. You probably could turn it into an offer, like you could have a guide around it. You could have a series of content that are linking to it. So the best thing you can do is identify the series of core topics that you ultimately would want to rank for in the long term, right? Years down the road. And then think the layer beneath it of the content you want to be creating that is still in line with those different head terms. And then those different islands that you have, think of those as pieces of content that you're building out. The bigger the island, the more pieces of content you're creating. Maybe it's a video, maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's a slide share deck. Ultimately, the more content you create, the bigger the island gets. So I think you definitely want to be connecting those islands together, but you don't want to force the connection, right? Like you don't want to just say, okay, well, I've been taught to just link all these pieces of content together. You want to make sure that it's something that's helpful. So for instance, if you have a page on how to winterize your motorcycle, maybe you would want to link over to motorcycle maintenance, which is like the pillar page in its own, which is the bigger piece. So what I would say is yes, you definitely want to build the bridges, those connections between the pieces of content. And I would actually identify those beforehand. I would probably do the blueprint of what those bridges are going to look like. Things might change through the process, but actually putting putting your ideas down will really help you organize everything and grow better.
So Justin, I love this. And I like the fact that you're heading in the direction of really the content strategy tool. One of the fundamental things that people should be focused on is that it's about organizing your content and taking what is this kind of messy area of historical blog articles and slide decks and videos and saying, here, we're going to paint a nice pretty picture. Now, I do have another question for you that we kind of run into with this that I'm sure the Hubcast listeners are going to want to know, as well as I'm going to share with all of our clients moving forward. And that is, you talk about the peak, which is like gum disease, right? And then you have like this little section that is the subtopic of that thing, really, which is like the last point to turn back around before you climb the rest of the mountain. But anyway, there's that section. And then you talk about there's these long tail keyword phrase subtopics. Is there like a happy mix? Like, should we be creating 7 subtopics, 10 subtopics, 20 subtopics? Like, how much content is either too little or too much, or has your data shown like a magic point on this? Maybe let's move down the mountain and talk about this, the villages that we're creating at the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah, and that's a great question. So the way that I would think of it is, we talk about there was last year when the content marketing certification relaunched in November, there was a new class on creating topic clusters and pillar pages in it. And in video 2, it explains how you can reverse engineer a 10x content pillar page, which is essentially like an ungated guide. So what I would recommend is do a content audit first. See what content you already have that exists around like this specific core topic that you want to rank for. And For the subtopic category, which is like, I love where you said it's like the halfway point, like where you can still turn around, because you're right, like you're making really big plays to get to the top of the mountain. So your subtopic category, let's just say that it is gum disease cause, and you want to write a guide around it. Well, you can use your long tail subtopics at the bottom. If, let's say, you don't have any content at all, you can use those pieces of content to essentially help you create content that you can repurpose into maybe a downloadable offer, which is something that'll help you with that mid-range subtopic category. Like that's ultimately what's going to help. If you have like an offer around it, you can connect and make your own little cluster. What I would say is there's no magic number. I think as many subtopics as you have are more beneficial, right? Like I think it's helpful. You want to make sure that you're providing value with the content, but you don't want to be creating content to create content. What I would actually recommend is focus on creating valuable content and the experience of what it is on your website. But then the other pieces of content that you want to generate, try to do guest blog posts with those. Because ultimately what's going to help your content strategy and get you more visibility is increasing your website authority. And your website authority, Google looks at that and understands, like, who do I want to rank? Like, not only is this content great, I want to make sure that it's a website that's also authoritative. And the way you build your website authority is through inbound links. So if you could create a topic cluster that had maybe 7 pieces of content in it that were really high value subtopic, long tail subtopics at the bottom that roll up into an offer in the subtopic category in the mid phase, what I would suggest is you can keep creating content on your blog, but really what would help you out more is if you're creating content that's not on your blog, that is linking back to the content that's on your site. Maybe it's linking back to that specific offer that all those other pieces are linking to. That way, and this is what we didn't talk about enough last year that we need to be talking about this year, your topic cluster is made up of internal content pointing to it, as well as external content through inbound links that are pointing to it. And the more inbound links you get, the more value that it's going to add. So I would say if you have a lot of content that you're creating, make them guest blog posts or content on other people's websites that are getting inbound links to your pages.
Okay, hold up. Mind absolutely blown right now, because when I was listening to you talk about that, I thought you were going to go one direction, and then you flipped the script on me and you went on another direction, because what I was thinking was, let's say you've got these 7 pieces, these subtopics, and my brain went down, oh my gosh, he's going to say that we should have like 2 or 3 of those where we interview other people and we use their name, and so then they'll share it on their blog, which is, by the way, probably a good strategy. But then to actually say, no, yes, that, and go do guest blogging and actually help them create content on their site, because everybody wants to create content. And if you can do that and help leverage it, people are like, yeah, let's work together. And then in there, go back to your site. So I love both those ideas. I mean, I might need a minute with both of those just to kind of think about that. Here's another question for you. Since we're on this, by the way, I'm going to ask this question. Then I'm going to ask you to give us 1, 2, 3 tips of, like, out of the new data, things that you think people should start focusing on, because I do want to be cognizant of your time and the Hubcast listeners' time. But since we're starting to go down the vein of, like, well, we could bring people in or we could go guest post, I'm super curious, Justin, if when you think about these subtopics, how much do you go into, well, 2 of them should be awareness content, 3 of them should be consideration, a couple should be decision, some of these should be like the big 5, cost, reviews. Like, how do you sit back and think of what a healthy mix of what this content cluster should be to really walk somebody down the entire buyer's journey?
Great question. I would say that the best way to think about the content that you need to be creating, maybe in the form of blogs, like the first one would be like, what are the top questions that people have around this, right? Like, you obviously want to be helpful, because most people, when they're going to a search engine, they're typing in their query in the form of a question anyway. So if you can find out what top questions exist and tie that back to what ultimately, like, you're trying to plan with your blog series, that would be a starting point. Because ultimately, I wouldn't just start creating each blog by blog, right? Like, I'm somebody who just loves to plan and organize things out so that I have a roadmap and plan things. So if I know that I'm going to be building, I'm going to need 7 blogs to help me create that I'm going to repurpose into a guide. what I would do then is I would research what are the top 7 things that I need to be communicating and talking about. And I might weave in there, like, is this much more awareness stage? Is this consideration stage? So you're really going to have to do the research and find out ultimately what is going to be most beneficial for you. What I would probably say though is if your ultimate goal is to repurpose this content into a guide, maybe it's okay if they're all awareness stage focused. If your goal is to try to pull people in and then ultimately you're going to use this to create like the comprehensive guide on X, then that's going to be an awareness stage piece that is going to help drive more leads. But what I would say is, again, like, you're going to it really depends on what the use case is on the piece of content that you're developing, so that you'll be able to find a healthy medium of what stage in the buyer's journey piece of content you want to be creating. But this is also something you could be creating ongoing as well. For instance, maybe it's 7 pieces that initially help create your offer, but you could create 10 to 15 other subtopics down the road that are consideration and decision stage focused if all of them are awareness in the beginning. So I would say that even if it doesn't roll up into the offer, you can still create content around it.
So, Justin, I'll leave this up to you because you are a champion. Anyway, I've never heard that before. 3 tips that you think the general Hubcast listener community, inbound community, should be paying attention to when it comes to this strategy to their content moving forward in 2018. What say you?
The first one I would say is do research off the platform. I know I work at HubSpot, and it's important to say that while HubSpot is extremely helpful by having an all-in-one toolkit, it's very important to make sure that you're also doing research like a content marketer would on specific platforms, right? So like if you want to understand what content exists and how you can make it better, like that motorcycle maintenance guide, go to Google, type in motorcycle maintenance, do research, find out what content is popping up, and actually go into those high-ranking websites and finding out, or high-ranking listings, and find out what content is here. Like, what are people finding value in? Like, what sort of, like, can I find subtopics from this? So that's the first one, is actually go on platforms and find out what content is working. The second thing is I would download the plugin Keywords Everywhere. It's a free plugin for Chrome and Firefox. And what it'll do is it'll show you monthly search volume for any keywords that you're typing into a search engine. So if you're trying to do core topic research or subtopic research, you're going to actually get the monthly search volume. So it can help you identify, is this something that's strategic enough is there enough interest that people are actually searching for these types of terms? The third one would be to try and find out of the different terms that are existing. Like, let's say you find a top piece of content. There's a platform you can go to, majestic.com, and you could just, let's say you type in motorcycle maintenance, the top listing, you can take the link and you could just go to majestic.com, insert that link and hit enter, and it'll tell you how many inbound links that piece of content has. So between having the Keywords Everywhere plugin telling you like all the monthly search volume, and then having majestic.com, which will show you the amount of inbound links, that'll help give you enough knowledge of understanding, okay, so this content has this many inbound links, this content has this monthly search volume, this is the content that people are finding, that at least the search engine is finding value around it. So it can help you be much more strategic in figuring out, how can I make this content better? And is it a place where I should be putting my time and effort into?
And people, that's what we do here. Actionable tips, tools that you can use. Justin, this has been amazing. I want to just say thank you for your time. I know the Hubcast community thanks you for your time. Folks, is your mind blown? Like, I literally need a graphic of like my mind blown right here. This is something that you need to be paying attention to. If you haven't gone into the HubSpot tool and gone into the content strategy tool, please dive into that. I can't tell you how many portals we go in. There's zero use. It is really important. Justin is going to be coming out with a ton more stuff during these workshops. You should see where those workshops are. Justin, if they want to get in touch with you, if they want to be able to, in the future, the best way to know, hey, a workshop is coming to my area, how can they connect with you? How can they get deeper with this stuff?
Yeah, so I'm in the midst of planning everything right now. I'm going to be on the East Coast and all the way over to the West Coast and coming back. I would say stay tuned to Twitter right now. My handle is Justin R. Champion. I'll be posting when all the content is live of where you can either sign up for an online workshop or actually come out in person and create your topic cluster with me. It will be coming out at either the end of February is when everything should be launching. So stay tuned to Twitter because that's where I'll be announcing everything.
Very cool. Hubcast listeners, I know you're ready to do some hashtag GSD, but hold up, buckle in, and let's get to the rest of the show. And we're back. Tell me that you didn't get a ton of value out of that interview. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to rewind it and listen to it again. And I was the guy asking the questions. I'm just saying, Carina, I got other questions. I have questions today about HubSpot updates. What is the latest news? Do we even have any updates this week?
The first one has to do with custom meeting types. So we've got a new live functionality, which is cataloging custom meeting types directly within the meetings tool. What is this? Basically, it's the ability to catalog your custom meeting types directly within the tool. So if you go to the show notes, you'll see a screenshot of exactly what we're talking about here. But a more important question is, why does this actually matter? So recently, HubSpot actually launched the ability to create, set, and report on custom types for calls and meetings in Sales Professional. So you can use custom types such as introductory meeting, demo. That gives you the ability to get organized while logging your activities, and then you can generate reports by type over time. So if you have custom meeting types created, you can now further streamline your process with the ability to catalog meetings by type directly within the tool itself. So the meetings then automatically logged by the custom type in the CRM means you have a more efficient and accurate logging process, and you can save precious time and keep you more organized. Speaking of skipping steps, thank you, HubSpot. This helps us to do that for sure.
Yeah, I am super geeked out on this one. I mean, hello, I have like HubSpot demos and get a free 15-minute assessment. And like, there's like HubSpot training. There's like 17 different things that I could be mapping these out to. And then, you know, a year, 6 months, 5 months, 7,000 years. I don't know. I could actually segment off of these. So I love this, love this, love this. You need to go to the show notes and learn more. I see that there might be something else here that we should be talking about.
Oh, there is. We have a hashtag nerd alert. We have a beta. So I think this is now released to all HubSpot partners, a beta of the new design manager and new modules framework. So this is something that they, I think, announced during Developer Day. I was talking to some of our devs about this, and they've now actually released it in beta. So you can actually go in there and check it out. So it's in an open beta. It's available to everybody. Part of the new design manager is a new modules framework. So previously, editing custom modules was not super easy to do, super straightforward. But this will allow you to bundle HTML, Hubble, CSS, JavaScript elements directly into the module. So we're geeking out here. Our devs are geeking out here. Definitely a big change. So definitely going to take some time to dive in there and check it out. But if there's any devs listening to this, from the Impact devs, they're pretty excited about what's going on here. I think it's going to be much better organized. It's going to be a much better flow for editing your templates.
Yeah, I'm super geeked out with this. And I will tell you, you should go to the show notes. We actually have a blog that HubSpot shared and some designer documentation that you can check out. Setting your preferences for the messages you want to receive. What the heck is this about, Carina?
So first, let's ask why is this happening? So HubSpot recently announced that they're sunsetting the weekly, monthly portal summary emails, those emails that you get in your inbox that say, you had 10% increase in traffic. You had 50% decrease in contacts. Oh no.
Can I say praise Jesus? I'm just 1 second to praise Jesus, because I just don't want to get those sometimes. So this is exciting.
Yeah. And I actually have had a similar pain of, you know, I've had clients that have set me up to get those emails, and for a while, I didn't realize that I could go in and change that myself. So HubSpot released this statement in March 2018. We'll stop sending the weekly, monthly portal summary emails out to HubSpot users. these emails are currently controlled within the notification center. So the notification center, which you might not even know about, you may just be getting emails and have not realized that you're able to change and adapt some of those. So what they're doing is kind of consolidating some of these things. So you really shouldn't have to dig through a whole bunch of different settings pages within HubSpot to configure or refine the notifications that you get, or the ones that you just get, the ones that you care about. So they've introduced a new unified notification preferences page. Everything is all together. It allows you to easily configure the notifications that you get. You can configure it by notification type and then get more granular within the HubSpot tool, how it generates the notification. So it gives you a lot more control over the types, the ways that you receive your notifications from HubSpot. I'm really excited for this because there used to be a bunch of different ways that you could kind of change different types of notifications. To have them all in one place will be super nice.
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. You know what else, Hubcast listeners, is a good one? A new section. That's right. We said we were going to drop them in on you here sporadically. Is what the hack?
What the heck?
What the heck? Yeah, what the heck? Anyway, this week, by the way, this is really tips and tricks, but it's what the heck, and it's going to be a little bit deeper. So you might hear us say some weeks it's a tip, it's a trick, and some weeks it's what the heck. We'll kind of go back and forth with this, but because sometimes HubSpot needs a little help, and other times so do you, weekly tips, tricks, and HubSpot hacks to help you master your HubSpot. This week, we already kind of let the cat out of the bag. Meow. HubSpot lead flows, better personas hacks. Go to the show notes, click the link, watch the hack, watch the tutorial, do it in your own portal. Let us know, what are you having difficulties with? We would love, and when I say we, I mean it's not just going to be me moving forward. We would love to create tips, tricks, and hacks for you. All right, so what's happening in the community? I don't know, Carina, what's happening in the community?
We got some tweets of the week. So our first one is from HubSpot Academy. They say, inbound professor Kyle Jepson tells us about new email threading in HubSpot CRM, hashtag HubSpot, hashtag HubSpot CRM, hashtag CRM, hashtag sales.
That's a lot of hash.
So Kyle Jepson is recording some vids over at HubSpot Academy. We love Kyle. So go to the show notes, click on that link, and check that out.
So mine this week is Harry, I guess it's Che? C-H-E. Hey, I apologize. However, let me just say that your Twitter handle is thebombdiggity.com at goals on track. That's amazing. I wish, I think I have Twitter handle envy right now. But the tweet is achieving your dream, how to take the first step. And what really got this on the show for me was the image that it has some steps. Of course, you can see this in the show notes, and it says, you don't have to see the whole staircase just to take the first step. Carina, that is amazing. Just to think about that, how, one step at a time, you can make it, you can do it. Someday you can have all the HubSpot certifications. Someday you can learn how to drive. Someday, I don't know. Anyway, you guys get it. Pretty much everybody that listens to the show can probably drive. I'm just saying. So,
if we have any high school Hubcast listeners, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, that would be amazing. We should have a mentor program if there are said people listening to this podcast. So let's not kill everybody, but I think possibly we have one more section that we want to talk about today.
Oh, we do. This is a good one.
Oh, snap.
So George and I were talking this week about a question of the week, and we want to know, what's the one hack in HubSpot that you figured out that you think no one else knows? So the one hack that you have figured out, whether it's sales, marketing, website tools, whatever it is, that you figured out and you do that you think, I'm the bomb, And I think I'm the only one or one of the only people on this planet that does this.
Yeah.
So we want to know, we want you guys to email us, to tweet at us, to comment. We want to know, but why do we ask? Because we are introducing today the Hubcast HubSpot Hack Award.
Oh my gosh.
So for all you HubSpot hackers, we want you to submit your HubSpot hacks to us. So we're going to pluck one Hubcast listener out who gives us the best hack that they've figured out in HubSpot that probably nobody else knows. And we're going to give you a special place in Hubcast history. Why don't you tell them what they're going to win, George?
Yeah, definitely. You are going to go down like Rudolph. Like Rudolph went down in history. We're going to give you a special Hubcast appearance. You might even be part of the strategy section. We're going to give you the elusive HubSpot Hack Award that you can put on your website or you can put on your profiles. You can use it however you want. You can sit and stare at it at night and just realize that anyway, it's not that big a deal, but we're going to do some really special things for you. And I'll tell you this, there's going to be a winner, but there might even be a couple honorable mentions along the way. So if you want to get your company's name, your personal brand's name out there, if you want to really give back to the community, which, by the way, have you joined Mastering HubSpot Facebook group yet or Impact Elite? Anyway, I digress. Listen, give us your hacks, email us. You can email me. I'll take care of this flow. gthomas@impactbnd.com. Send us your hacks. Man, episode 2, Carina, 163, but for you, episode 2, how do you feel? What, I know last week you were pinching yourself.
I'm in now, man. I'm feeling great, ready to go. I've been just loving geeking out on HubSpot with you. So if you love geeking out on HubSpot with us, we want to hear from you. Hit us up, comment on the show notes, shoot us an email, leave us a rating or review on iTunes. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed another episode of the Hubcast where we talked about all sorts of cool things with meetings. We let you know that it's just about taking the first step, and you got to learn about disc golf and Carina. There's more to come, trust me. But if you are listening on Hubcast, we ask you to go leave us a rating and review. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you get instant notifications. But until next time, folks, go out into the world and do that thing we call happy HubSpotting. Hey!
Coolest name ever.
Justin Champion?
Yeah.
I know, right? Why? God just knew. If I got a name like that, it'd be over.